really do it that way. I mean, if you'd said, who did I make? That's different, because I made Scott, Alan and Tintin. And, but we didn't concentrate on sort of, I should work Scott, because the characters weren't that defined, because there were two stages working simultaneously. So there were two Scotts. So they couldn't, we didn't sort of work out a definite character.
It's obviously a lot more complicated than we at home envisaged. But going back to Scott there, whose face we were looking at a bit earlier, was he modelled on Sean Connery?
Yes.
He was?
Yes. Well, Sean Connery, anyway, was
if you look at the Sean Connery of the
man.
day, yes, I suppose there is a terrific likeness.
Now we'll wait for the Ritz to arrive.
From Scott.
Well, he does know about He does know about
it. Compliment to Sean Connery, isn't it? What about any of the others then? Were they modelled on famous faces?
Well, John Tracy was Anthony Perkins, and he was so, you know, the Psycho Man, and he looked so much like him that he had dark hair to begin with, you see.
What about little baby-faced Alan?
Oh, well, he was based on somebody as well, but I can't remember his name. It was a young man in a father and son lawyer detective series that was showing at the time, and he was sort of the young son.
And Brains?
I don't know about Brains. I didn't make Brains, and I don't know all the problems that they had with the.
And and was it very much teamwork, I should imagine, with both of you and the rest of the team? How big was the team, Gerry?
Well, the team, surprisingly enough, we had 250 people working on the show. We had 5 film units shooting simultaneously.
And what sort of things were those 250 people doing? I mean, we accept there were puppeteers and people writing, etc., like you. What else were they doing?
Well, all the sort of things that people would do in a film studio.
Building sets, I think.
Building sets, building models.
This is the size of the model that you would be shooting with, is that right?
Well, this is a replica of Thunderbird 1, and this was the size that we used. But the interesting thing, of course, is that because we were working with miniature sets, if you wanted a long shot of Thunderbird 1, you couldn't pull the camera back because you'd be outside the studio to make it small enough. So we had models of different sizes, and we used the small ones for the long shots.
It's true, isn't it, that a lot of... I know you get letters now from scientists working at places like NASA who were children when the first series went out, and who said they went into that sort of work because of Thunderbirds.
Yes.
But it's true as well that, in a way, some of the things you invented for the puppets have actually come true, things like vertical takeoff aircraft.
Well, you see, I have to be, I have to be honest about this. I didn't really invent these things at all. I remember, I mean, you talk about vertical takeoff. I went home one night, and on the news, there was an idiot standing on a steel frame with a jet engine pointing downwards, and the thing was tethered with chains, and he was hovering sort of 6 feet off the ground, and it was an experiment. And so I thought, obviously there's going to be a vertical takeoff aircraft, and so we built them and flew them very quickly. But really we were looking at stuff that was on the drawing board and actually making it happen.
But this one, when it takes off vertically, looks very similar to the Harrier jump jet. Had you seen the Harrier jump jet then?
Well, of course it hadn't been built then.
So
I mean,
real life
the Harrier,
sometimes...
it's not like the Harrier, because the Harrier doesn't take off through a swimming pool, does it?
No, it doesn't take off... No, not yet, Gerry. But it does take off vertically. After a disaster, it sort of takes off vertically.
Yes.
And also, I gather Fireball XL5, the sort of runway that Fireball XL5 goes along before it takes off, that takes off akin to some aircraft nowadays.
That takes off similarly to an aircraft which is in development called HOTAL.
The one that's going to go to Australia in 35 minutes or something.
That's right. And I met the inventor, Alan Bond, and he assured me that he didn't copy Fireball XL5, you know, with the undercarriage dropping off.
I'll bet
he also told me that
he'd
filmed Fireball XL5 with a 16mm camera off the screen when he was a kid.
There you are.
So, I mean,
it had an influence.
It had some influence.
Christine, what has it meant to you to see the tremendous revival in interest and the fact it's become a cult again?
Well, I mean, it's meant a great deal to me, but apart from anything else, everybody that worked on it is astounded. I mean, we knew that we'd made a success of the Thunderbirds and the other series as well when in the 60s when they were shown, we never thought then that 27, 30 years hence, we would still be making and using Thunderbird puppets.
And it still doesn't look out of date.
No, it doesn't,
No.
does it?
Well, it's because of those very inventions. Some of them, real life hasn't caught up with some of them yet.
Well, I mean, obviously the show was cast in the future, and so everything was futuristic. And of course the other thing is we haven't got motor cars running around with old registration plates and models that people recognise, and fashions and hairdos. And there's really nothing about the show that gives the game away.
I just want them to invent the hover scooter, because I'd like one of those.
Well, we had those in Fireball XL5.
Yes, you've got those in Thunderbirds as well, because I saw
yes.
Scott and Alan on one not so long ago.
Oh dear.
You are talking to a connoisseur here, you understand.
Yes.
But this is the great key to its success at the moment, is the generation that used to love it has now got children of its
Yes,
own.
I mean, I think
who also
the
love
show
it.
has so-called parental endorsement.
Parental endorsement is the word.
And we like it.
Yes,
Thank you
that's
very
right.
much, Christine
Thank
and
you.
Gerry.
It's a great
been lovely
pleasure
to talk to you.
to you.
Thanks a lot. Now, all this week, instead of our choosing the songs to go with